Hello everybody, I wanted to come to you really quickly because we have a very exciting launch that's happening on Monday, and I am super excited about this launch. It is something that we have been waiting for over a year, and it is the Creative Memories die cutting machine. And I have had so many questions about it that I just really want to get the information out to everybody so you can kind of understand what it is. Now, if you look over here, see this pink little thing right here? That is the original Mac Daddy die cutting machine that came out, I don't even know when, a long time ago, and it's huge, and it'll let you do really big 6-inch dies, 6 inches wide. It's a huge die cutting machine. And then over here on my desk I have a little Stampin' Up mini die cut machine that I've had for a few years, and it has just always been a bear. So last year, I was lucky enough to be one of the advisors who could get a precursor to the new die cutting machine, which is our little teensy tiny die cutting machine that sits on my desk. And so what I wanted to do with you today is I just want to talk about die cutting machines. I want to tell you why I love them. I have behind me here 2 bins full of dies of all different sorts. I have about 6 more of these. So I love dies. I love incorporating them onto my pages. And I want to show you everything that you need to know going into this launch to decide if this is a tool that you might like to add to your arsenal of tools for creating. So let me flip over to my desk so I can kind of introduce you to the world of dies and die cutting and why I love them and how they might be able to help you with your scrapbooking needs. All right, hang on one second. Okay, everybody, here we are back at my desk, and this was the beta version of the die cutting machine. And this little baby sits right next to my desk. I use it probably at least once a week, if not more often, and I love it. So let me introduce you to the die cutting machine. What you will notice first is that it has 2 wings that come out that lay flat. This is where you're going to feed what we call a sandwich through your die cutting machine. Next, it has a little crank, and this is what helps feed your sandwich through the die cutting machine. In this example, in this version of the die cutting machine, it also has suction cups. That helps you for it to stick and be stable on your table when you're trying to crank. So you hold your hand on the top, you're gonna feed your sandwich in, and then you're gonna crank it through. It's that simple. All right, let's talk about a sandwich. When I'm referring to a sandwich, I'm referring to how you actually make your die cuts. And the first thing that we have to talk about is the plates. There are 2 main plates that you will use 99% of the time. It is a cutting base plate, and there is a universal top plate. Okay, so the cutting base plate is what you are going to use anytime that you want to use a die. Now, when you get your base plate, it's gonna look all nice and new and shiny pretty. But as you start to cut, it's going to become well loved. That is 100% normal. You can expect this. You can see mine is starting to warp just a little bit. If you do back and forth, that will help with that. And for me, I have been using this, like I said, at least once a week for over a year, and this is what it looks like. It still has some life to it, but I'll probably buy new plates just to be shiny new like everybody else. Okay, so let's talk about, you've got the base plate, you've got the universal top plate. The next thing you need are your dies. Dies look like this. They are silver shapes. This is what the shapes look like. This is what they look like of what you use. So when you look at a die, there are 2 sides. There is a rough side, that's what cuts, and then there's a smooth side. So for Creative Memories die cutting machine, what you will do is you will take a piece of scratch paper and you will put it on your base plate. Then you will select what dies you want to use to cut. So let's say I want a camera, I want a little shutter. What else can I fit on here? And a heart. All right, now You can put the lid on here and you can try and feed this through, but you see they slide all over the place. So my recommendation for you is that you will need to purchase a low tack tape. You guys have heard me talk about this before. Low tack because it will keep things in place, but it won't rip a design off of your paper if you're using a decorative piece of paper. So I didn't make it long enough, so we'll go this way. All I'm trying to do is hold my die in place so it doesn't shift around. Creative Memories has a peel and stick tape, which you can definitely use. I prefer a little bit lighter tack. So this pink tape, I think you can get this on Amazon. I don't know. I'll try and link it. But I also use a green mint tape that you can get from scrapbook.com, and it's called mint tape. I just happen to have some of this left. So that's what I'm using right now. Okay, so I have my paper, my die, my tape on my base plate, and now I'm gonna use my top plate and put it on top. This is called a sandwich, and this is what we're gonna feed through the machine. And it grabs it right away. It's very easy. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on here. You'll feel it. You might hear a little bit of crackling. That's normal, nothing to panic about. Remove the top plate, and now when I take this off, you're going to see that it cut out the little shapes that I can put onto my layouts as little embellishments. So these were the dies, and this is what they cut out. So cute, right? And there are hundreds and hundreds of dies out there. So many dies. Some are better quality than others. Creative Memories dies cut very, very well. The ones that I had in my intro packet, they have been amazing. So the only thing I can tell you is that if you wanted to try and use the Creative Memories dies on another machine, you would have to look and see what the sandwich requirements are for that machine. What I can tell you is that our plates are designed for our die cutting machine, and they will not work on several of the other die cutting machines out there. So it is not recommended that you use them on anything but the Creative Memories die cutting machine. If you have one and want to try it, that's up to you. Okay, so these are the 6-inch plates. The other thing that has come in here is an embossing base plate. This is what we will use to do embossing with. Now, I was not given a 6-inch embossing folder, so I am not going to be able to show you with this plate, but the universal top plate means that you use it on both the embossing plate as well as the cutting plate. So you'll need the universal top plate whether you're embossing or whether you're cutting. Okay, so now let's talk about embossing and what embossing does. Let me just quickly move these out of the way. Embossing takes a piece of paper and it adds dimension to your paper. This is what an embossing folder is called. And this is exciting because it is a full 12 inches. And as Creative Memories is the only one on the market right now that has the full 12 inches. So that is super exciting. But if you look inside here, you can see, and if you felt it, it's rough. It has a texture. It's going to put this texture of all of these little funky designs onto this page. So how an embossing folder works is you cut a 12 by 3 inch strip of paper because it's 3 inches wide, it's 12 inches long. So you put your paper inside the folder, you shut the folder like this. Then we're going to find our embossing. Again, you have 3 plates. You have a cutting base plate, and you can see it's loved. It's already started to get some cuts on it. That's normal. You have that universal top plate. Remember, you use it both on the cutting plate, and now I have an embossing plate. So you would use it both on the cutting plate and on the embossing plate. So we're gonna emboss. So we use our embossing plate, we put our embossing folder on top, and then our top plate. This is our embossing sandwich. Creative Memories has made it very easy for you. They have titles on here. Embossing base plate. You know that goes on the bottom. It's a base plate. That's the bottom. Then you're going to put your embossing folder or your dies in the middle, depending on what you're doing. And then you're going to use your top plate on the top. All right. So then we put it in our machine and we just start cranking it through. All right, now when I open this, you're gonna see, can you see the raised design that's on the paper? I'm hoping you can see it. Let me come up here and see. Do you see it? Y'all, that's so cool. And if you look at my tooltip on Tuesday, I have a tooltip of how we can even advance this a little bit further by using inks. So make sure you check that out on Tuesday, and you see how I dirty up my pages with inks and a textured background. So that's what this created. It created a textured background. So let me see what else. So on Monday, they are going to be releasing this bundle. The only way to get the die cut machine is to get the die cut machine bundle, which includes the die cut machine, the plates, the 12-inch plates, which is huge because there is no other company on the market with 12-inch plates, and then the normal 6-inch plates. All of this comes in the die cutting machine bundle. You have to have this in order to even begin to start to use dies. Now, when we get to the decorative bundle will include everything right now that Creative Memories has to offer. It is some embossing folders, it are some 12-inch dies, some 6-inch dies, an alphabet set. All of that comes in the decorative bundle, and I will show you that in a second. Let me just really quickly show you one other thing. We talked about the embossing folder, but we also can talk about our 12-inch dies. All right, so the 12-inch dies are gonna work the exact same way as our 6-inch dies. This is not the one that they're selling. This was what came in my sample. I can't wait. I don't have the new set yet. Monday I'll be ordering. But I'm going to choose, I'm using a die. So because I'm using a die, I want my cutting base plate. So I grab my cutting base plate. I'm going to take my scrap. I'm going to feed my die on it. I'm going to use my tape, my low tack tape, to hold it in place. And then I'm going to put not my embossing plate, I want to put my universal top plate on the top. This is my sandwich. I'm going to take my die cut machine, feed my sandwich in. You guys don't even know how quick and easy this is. Move it out of the way. Peel it off carefully. And then I'm going to have this really cute decorative element that I can put on my page. Isn't that so cute? All right, let me see. I've lost my pick tool, but the other thing that you will see, and I've lost mine, I'm not sure. The last time I remember seeing it was down in Florida, and I don't know where it is, so I've probably lost it. But the other thing that you'll see is that they have what's called a pick tool. And a pick tool is definitely a necessary thing that you're going to want to have, because as you can see on here, inside there's a little teeny tiny piece that was supposed to pop out, and so you use your little pick tool and it will just help you pop it out. So I'm going to use a pair of scissors really quick, but the pick tool is much better. But now if you can see, hopefully you can see, it's put the holes. See here where I was able to poke out the holes versus down here where the holes have not been poked out. So you would use your pick tool just to go quickly through and poke them out. The new one, they have an updated one from the one they gave me anyway, but it's called a dual tip pick tool. And you will definitely want one of those if you're using a die machine. You can use your scissors, but you have to be careful. You might get cut. It's just better to have the right tools. And I just don't know where mine is. It's not here. So, all right. So we did cutting tools with our universal top plate and our die. That creates this, right? We have a universal top plate that goes on the top of this, but we also have an embossing plate, an embossing folder, and the universal top plate, which creates this fun textured design, right? And then we have our 6-inch plates, which cut out with our dies, the cute little dies that we have on hand. So these are the different options of things that are associated with a die cutting machine. So why do you need all that? Well, you need all that because you can create really fun pages with that, right? So all of these were cut out using the dies to make myself a little embellishment cluster. I backed it on a really fun embossed piece of paper, and then I used my 12-inch dies, which is what we're most excited about, to run across the top. What's exciting about a 12-inch die is that you can do a full design with no repeats. And that is our hope as Creative Memories moves forward and continues to design their own dies, is that we will start delving into more of that. So now let me flip to my desk and let's walk through the design elements that are available just so you can see those. Okay, everybody, here we are back at my desk, and I just wanted to show you one more time what the die cut embossing starter set is going to be. It is the die cut machine, the 3 plates that I talked to you about in the 6-inch size, and the 3 plates in the 12-inch plates. And what I forgot to mention is you are going to get these cute little faces stickers that you can actually put onto your die cut machine to make it all yours. So that's a fun little bonus that comes with this set. This set has been marked off 15%. So starting on Monday for 5 days, it'll be $109, I believe. Okay, so that is that. And here she's putting the little labels on. And there's another view of it. And those are your fun faces. So that is the die cutting machine. Okay, now let's talk about the decorative bundle set. Okay, this is the full decorative bundle set. Now, each of these items in this set you can purchase individually, or you can buy the complete decorative set, which is everything Creative Memories has to offer. So we have, looking at here, you have 2 embossing folders, you have 2 12-inch dies, you have an alphabet set, both uppercase and lowercase, and then you have some titles. And this is what they look like once they're die cut out. So the one I'm really excited about is this Starburst embossing plate. I think that's super fun. And this is what it looks like in real life with the metal dies and then your 2 emboss folders. And here on the right is a little example where they've used it. So you can see that they've used the embossing folder on the left-hand side with that teal sea green paper to do the hexagon. I think it's dashed hexagon. And then they used the wavy die cut machine, or die cut, the wavy die. I'm not sure what that die cut is called, but that wavy die cut. And then they use the titles to do the real life and the memories. And that's it closer up. That's a better view. All right, so here is a closer view of what those dies look like. This is actually the lattice wave die, and I have seen this used where they die cut it with a piece of paper where they liked both sides, and then you can flip the insides. So you can have the outside edge one color and then the insides have a different design. But there's again close up of it being used. I love this version where they actually made the fish out of the inside. I thought that was so creative. Here's the letters. These are the die cut letters that they've used to make lake. And like I said, you can cut them out twice and then you have the shadow effect like they have here. This is called the Star Trail. And here's an example of what it looks like. These are your titles and icons. They're called real life. And there's an example of how it was used. Oh, and here's a picture of your dual tip pick tool that I was talking about. They're calling it a dual tip die cutting tool, but most people refer to it as a pick tool because it's picking out the little bits that you don't need. And they're showing you how they're using it. And last, here are our embossing folders. So this is the one I'm super excited about. This is called the Dotted Burst. And I just love the design of that. You know, I like a little inky dotty splattery look. So for me, I'm all over that. I think that's really fun. And here it is close up. I just think that's fun. And then this one is the hexagon dash folder. And that's what it looks like close up. All right, I think that's everything. Let me flip back over. Okay, you guys, I know that was a lot. I did want to just show you really quickly. I wanted to show you really quickly my collapsible tote. So this is my mini collapsible tote. And in here, I literally take my die cut machine. I put him in here. I fit all of my 12-inch plates right along the side. I put all of my embossing folders in there with my 12-inch plate. I put my dies. Now, remember I had the beta version, so I don't have magnetic sheets for my little beta version, but you would have a magnetic sheet with your dies. That fits in here. And then I take all of my regular 6-inch plates, they fit in there. And then I take and remember, my dies were not on a magnetic sheet, so I had to buy a magnetic sheet to put mine on. I'm gonna make sure I have them all the right direction. And then I had to buy an envelope that fit my magnetic die sheets. You won't have to do this. Yours will already come all set, ready to go. And this fits in here. And I have tons of room. Like, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's tons of room. So when I went down to Florida for my retreat, I packed even more stuff in here. I filled it up. So there's lots of room. But this sits right here on my desk. So my die cut machine is in easy reach, but it's not sitting right on my desk where I'm working. And again, these are all just some of the dies that I have on hand. So I love dies. I hope this just gave you a little introduction. If you have questions, please reach out to me. It is definitely something that I'm super excited about. If you want to learn more about it and you have questions, let me know. And I look forward to hearing from you. And for those of you that I'm going to see soon, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. And I think that's it. All right, everybody, have a great rest of the week. Bye.